Diana and Phil just made a video about 7 things that Sweden does surprisingly well. She's American, he's German, I'm Canadian, so we have 3 points of view to tell you if this happened in our own country or not. So, gonna be brutally honest. As always, if you like reactions that are honest, no sugarcoating, you can watch my reaction. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Only the truth.
A family trip since Phil's brother lives there, and Sweden is a country that we unexpectedly found ourselves coming back to. Every visit, we try and find something we really enjoy.
Number 1, space.
Space.
Alright, our first point is how much personal space you get in Sweden. Sweden has a population of only a bit over 10 million people, and it's quite the big country actually. Okay, most of the people live in the south, but still, when you drive around the country actually. Okay, most of
the south, but Stockholm it's more like east, not south. Damn, there's almost as much people in Gothenburg than in Stockholm if you look at the color. Which, oh no, Stockholm is heavily, there's one red spot. So it's really small, the spot that is crowded in Stockholm's. Only one red spot, like big red spot. Okay.
The people live in the south, but still, when you drive around the countryside from town to town, you can feel how low the population density is.
Yeah.
So many freestanding houses on their own, or at least in small clusters that you can't even call towns really. You just get more space to live here.
I don't think I've seen a single human passing by.
Yes, and even in a...
It's worse in Canada. I think there's a stats from my own country where 70% of the population live near the less than 50 to 100 kilometers from the US border. So 70% live literally near the border. And it's because the more up you go, it's too cold. People cannot live there. Canada, the more up you go, the more cold it is, but it's disproportional. Like it's minus 30, minus 40, minus 50 compared to Sweden. It's insane how cold it gets when you go up. Not even like only 3 hours, drive only 3 hours north and you're freezing. So,
city like Gothenburg, it doesn't feel crowded or overwhelming. Of course, it is busier than in rural Sweden, but compared to other European cities, you still get a lot of personal space. And maybe it's due to the Swedish people, maybe the personal bubble is just bigger, but I personally like it. It's quite nice.
Yeah, and granted, we have not been to Stockholm yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, the personal bubble thing is true, I think. And then look at the supermarkets. They are so spacious too. Just going after your daily life in Sweden, it just feels like you have a little bit more room to move around, whereas in Germany or other countries it feels like people are in the way all the time. So yeah, Sweden's space, we really like it.
I think this is also less about the number of people by kilometer, right? Because that's always a big argument. There's not enough people per kilometer. I think it says a lot more about the infrastructure, the fact that you repair your road, the fact that it's not polluted. So it gives the impression that there's a lot of space. So I think the government doing its job is helping that perception. If it was dirty all around and the road were in bad condition, I think the perception would be quite different. But
2,
maybe I'm
grocery
wrong. You tell
store
me.
variety. Speaking of grocery stores, this is a bit random, but the amount of variety that you can get at the edge of Europe is seriously impressive.
Yeah.
In the supermarkets, there are way more options than in a big city supermarket in Germany, like from international food aisles to dedicated aisles of sauces, aisles of chips,
that's
way
my
too
favorite.
many options of sour cream, to an entire taco aisle.
Oh my
I'm guessing taco night must be popular in Sweden.
Yeah.
But I really love the variety and how much it offers.
It's always fun to go through a Swedish supermarket. We find new things we didn't know could exist, like licorice ice cream.
There it is. Wow.
Licorice ice cream.
Ice cream. I've seen it.
I never had that. What does it taste like? Oh, it's salmiakki. Isn't that from Finland? What does it taste like?
Oh, dude, that's crazy. There's a licorice ice cream in this ice cream box.
The licorice obsession is real in Sweden.
Kale.
And that's something we both haven't quite warmed up to yet. But I'm glad it's an option there for the people who love it.
Yeah, and as mentioned before, the aisles are huge. Like, I still don't understand the size of the supermarkets here for such a small population. And side note, I really love the amount of calorie-free options for drinks in Sweden.
Zingo?
Like, to the point where it's hard to find.
Zingo it looked like a Fanta. What is the difference? Is it just a local brand?
Non-diet drinks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Number 3, Fika.
Ah.
I really like the Fika culture. It's a Swedish custom meaning a coffee break, often paired with a sweet treat like a kanelbulla, a cinnamon bun, or cookies. I know that Germany has Kaffee und Kuchenzeit, and many other cultures have their afternoon tea time, but growing up in the US, the average American doesn't have this intentional pause to stop, drink some coffee, socialize with coworkers or friends or even alone, and just slow down for the day. When I was in the
It's a law in Sweden, right? You need to have a certain number of break per day, and then they call it Fika, so that, there's going to be consequences if a company decide to not allow it. They're not able to, right? Versus in Canada and in America, where I'm from in Canada, the government is going to encourage company to give people a break, but because it's not a law and there's not a name for it, like Fika, often they're going to give the very minimum, and sometimes they're not going to pay like more than 30 minutes for lunch, and it creates a situation where you end up working 8 hours per day, and 7 hours and 30 minutes of that, it's heavy work, and you don't have much break. And guys, because you're Swedish, you know that if you don't have breaks, like constant break at different time of the day, you're not going to be as productive. But it feels like people that run companies, they don't understand the human psychology behind being effective versus giving the impression that you work hard. There's a big difference between the two. And I feel like in the Nordic country, you guys understand that if a worker is happy, if a worker is rested, it's going to work well. And it was the same issue in school growing up. Like, I remember going to class when I was 8 years old. I go to, or 12 years old, I go to one class, I have 5 minutes to find my other class, I have 5 minutes to find my third class, and then you have a break for lunch, and then you need to find your class, and between classes, there's so few time. By the time you're at the third class or fourth class, you're completely fried. And after that, that kind of mentality to not give people break, continue on the workforce when you're an adult. My point is that I'm sure that in school, you also have those habits to have enough break so that the kid's brain is not fried. And the habit that you develop as a kid, you want them as an adult. So you become a business owner and you're like, yeah, I'm going to continue what was giving to me in school. The children's brain are so malleable that they will remember what it was, and they will give their employee what they used to have as a kid in school. And it's just logic to me. Some countries don't get it still.
Office, the afternoon 2
A
p.m.
lot of
coffee
countries
was
don't get
just
it.
chugged to get through the workday faster. And I really like the Fika tradition to intentionally break up the daily grind and just have a moment.
Yeah, as a German, we have Kaffee and Kuchen tradition, but for me it was mostly on the weekends with my family. My mom would set up the garden or the dining room table, and family or friends would come over. I heard that in Sweden sometimes they even have Fika daily in the workplace, and I think that's adorable.
That
if
would be
that's true.
so nice.
Yeah, that's just a nice way to do the work life.
Yeah, good life cake balance.
Yeah, let us know how much Fika you're actually doing. Number 4, pizza.
Okay, hear us out on this one. When you think of Sweden, you probably think of Swedish meatballs or maybe even hot dogs. But I say screw Swedish meatballs, Swedish pizza is where it's at. I don't think Sweden gets enough international hype for the pizza.
I don't understand why this is so good.
I love the creative topping combinations. I love that it's a nice yeast flour style dough. So good. I've actually wanted to eat all the way to the crust at the pizzerias we've been to in Sweden. If the crust isn't good, I just don't want to eat it. So that's high praise.
What is your favorite pizza? Personally, I like thin crust, but I like thick crust. Even the one that have sausage or cheese inside the crust. And then I like a pizza that have a lot of cheese, even if it's added blue cheese or thing like this, and I like adding meat also inside. I like my pizza to have a lot of things inside. So what they call the kebab pizza, I think, in Sweden, that's the kind that I would like the most. I think I can eat everything. It's a pizza, right? Pizza is pizza. Pizza is great. But
Yeah, we
What
tried
is your
about like
favorite?
8 pizzas, and the dough surprisingly was great every time in Sweden. Why? And the amount of different types of pizza toppings might make an Italian cry, but let them cry and give me that.
Banana,
kebab
it's
pizza,
weird
man.
though, I'm gonna be
And the
honest.
Vulcan pizza too. I'll even take a banana curry pizza. That was decent. No, but honestly,
Banana
it's
curry,
very
though.
good, weirdly.
Interesting.
And in Germany, we mostly have the traditional Italian-style pizzerias. So we go to the classic quattro formaggi or funghi pizzas. But
Yeah, see, quattro formaggi, 4 cheese. I love this too because I love cheese. But I prefer when it's loaded. I think this
why
one
not
with the
throw
fry I
some
would
fries
like.
on there, you know? Why not add some béarnaise sauce and minced meat on top of your pizza?
Why not?
Yeah, it tastes so good, man. It's good.
Stop. I really want that béarnaise pizza right now.
Yeah, I also heard about a thing called Karlsgrove? Something like
Karlsgrove?
that.
What's that?
But I don't really know if it exists. It's apparently a full burger meal inside a
Oh,
calzone
really?
pizza. We tried to look it up. If anybody knows where to get it in the south of
Does this exist in Sweden? A burger in a pizza?
Sweden, let us know and we'll do a video on that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Sounds excessive.
Number 5, nature.
Nature.
Nature is what Sweden is known for, and we understand the hype. There are stunning natural landscapes everywhere. You don't have to go very far for a good view. If you're in a city, it's always like a short drive away. And you can easily live in nature and wake up to this beauty of Sweden daily.
We haven't even seen the north yet, but from what I've seen, it's very clean, it's empty, it's simply beautiful. Sweden contains lots of archipelagos.
Archipelago?
Stop! Is it archipelago?
Oh
Anyways, thousands of breathtaking islands off the coast of Stockholm or Gothenburg. Water is everywhere, from lakes to coastline. It's just so refreshing to see so much water. For me, being by a lake or a river or a sea, just some type of body of water calms me so much. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's true. Sweden also has this thing called allemansrätten, and it's this unique legal right to roam freely, hike, forage, and camp on public and private land responsibly. Meaning you can sleep or camp on even private property as long as you cannot see the house or building from your location, like point of view, you know? You don't have to pay like the 70 euros to stay at a campsite just for us to put up like our own tent and sleep for the night. No, in Sweden I could do that on your yacht.
Yeah, it's essentially
See, I never understood that kind of North American culture of not only paying for everything, but being so paranoid about private property when people own so many land and there is nothing in the horizon, and then there's always a Karen in a video, right, that will say, this is private property, you cannot fish here, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, and then they call the cops and you found out that, yeah, you can own the land, but you cannot own the lake. But how can you get to the lake without getting on land on your boat? So you're in the middle of the water, and then the lady is accusing you of being on her property. No, she doesn't own the lake, so you're not. But the second that you try to get out, she's gonna try to take a picture of you to say that, oh, now you're on my property. And there's so many accidents that happen. People take their gun, fire warning shot. It's so stupid because of the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself. And it's a big mess that could be avoided if people were more kind and human toward each other. It's I know, fantasy concept, being kind of and toward each other, but this is something that where I'm from, it's in Canada it's more easy, but there's always an American influence to some, because we have our fair share of right-wing maniac in Canada too. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway.
uncommercialized access to nature, and I can't emphasize how nice this is. If you were to do this in the US, you might have police at your car door, or worse, you might be looking down a barrel. It's just nice that people are able to enjoy the beautiful, stunning nature without a fine or jail time for trespassing or loitering.
Yeah, true. If you look at Sweden from above, it literally looks like it consists out of forest and just a bunch of lakes everywhere. And I like how connected the Swedish people are to their nature, and everybody really seems to value it, so it's pretty cool.
A quick reminder to like the video and subscribe for more videos around the world. If you'd like to further support us, you can do that at patreon.com/Deana Phil, where we make additional monthly videos for certain tiers. And shout out to our soulmate tier patrons, Lauren Jared, Roger Lupka,
Kelly
Robin,
Caviar
Leslie
is
Garner,
one of
and
my
John.
favorite
Thank you.
thing ever.
Number 6. people's behavior. Look,
I
this
guess.
is a very subjective topic, but I'm coming from a German point of view here. The Swedish people, to me, they appear polite, reserved, and kind of relaxed, and I kind of like it. So no fake small talk, no aggression, just minding their own business and being kind of considerate at the same time.
Yes, they have a bit of a personal bubble, and honestly, coming from an American point of view, Germans can feel a bit cold, unfriendly, at least at first glance. And Swedes, even more so. But when you experience the culture, you notice it's not really rudeness. Maybe it's just more introverted or like valuing their space, their safe space.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it.
That's a continental difference, because in Canada we're much closer to America when it comes to that. Small talk is kind of expected, even though I don't care about small talk. It's just the culture. But I think people need to know that there's no bad intention behind the small talk. It's just how you're raised, the culture. I don't think one is better than the other, honestly. Having small talk can have benefit. You can have connection with people. You can have connection without the small talk too. I'm just saying that I don't see the small talk as a negative per se. But I understand how from a Swedish point of view it can be seen as, well, why are you being fake? You know, it's like me making a reaction video, and I'm obviously more energetic than I would be if I was watching the video alone. But where do I find the balance, you know?
It feels like real people, not some fake facade that so many of us put up nowadays.
Especially in the time of social media.
Yeah, and I know Sweden is not only full of the nicest people, like we hear about major problems in cities like Stockholm or Malmö. So I guess there are a bunch of idiots, like in most countries nowadays. But the Gothenburg and West Coast that we experienced so far was just really relaxed. Number 7.
To be fair, everyone is fake on YouTube, every reactor. Even if someone is more calm, who watch a video and talk to himself or talk to a camera? It's unnatural for me to look at you when I speak, to look at the camera. It's completely unnatural. Even if someone do it in a very calm way like this and speak like this, even someone that do that, it's unnatural, because what you think about when you watch a video and what come out of your mouth, it's going to be a little bit different. So it's always going to be performative and inauthentic. Even if I try to tell you what I really think. Well, if I watch a video on my own, I'm going to be not pausing the video, not saying anything. So it's making reaction video by default is going to be unnatural. That's the nature of it, right? And it's true for most people who do YouTube.
Card payment everywhere. This one has some pros and cons, but as visitors, it has been so convenient that card payment is everywhere. From big city restaurants to the smallest of bakeries in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, we haven't had to withdraw a single Swedish crown. We've been holding on to this 120 krone for years now. I think it's from Phil's mom. She had it in the car or something, and we've never ever had a situation where we've need to use cash. You can visit the country and not even realize there's another currency. I mean, except the exchange rates, of course. You see the numbers are a bit higher, but then convenient.
Yeah, it's true. Sweden is so cashless. All gas stations, for example, have card payment at the pump. The side of the road hot dog stands, they all take card payment. There's even a popular mobile payment system in Sweden called Swish, where they just...
I saw you, to use the phone. I was going to say, here in Thailand, you can pay cash, but usually people don't pay cash, but they don't use a card either. Because not that many people have a credit card, use a credit card on the daily. Most people in Thailand, they use their phone. Even the small shop in the street that sell like a pork stick, even the poor ones that don't make a lot of money, that are on the side of the road, they have a QR code in front of their shop, and you just scan with your phone. And that's how you pay in most places in Thailand. Even when you go to McDonald's, most people will pay via the scan. You scan with your phone. Everything is done digitally on your phone rather than cash. And cards, I think it's even less popular than cash in Thailand. Yeah.
Just directly and instantly transfer money from bank account to bank account. So no cash ever needed, and it's very convenient.
Now, these may be simple things, but they are our reasons to keep coming back to Sweden. That and that Phil's brother lives there. So, of course, these are just our perspectives of two visitors visiting the country only during the summer months in Sweden.
Yes.
So, maybe if we visit during the winter months, we'd have more to complain about. Or maybe we'd end up loving it, like seeing a wild moose or the northern lights.
That'd be cool.
Let us know what you like and dislike about Sweden.
Yes.
Thanks for...
What do you like and dislike about your country? To be honest, the thing that I dislike it the most about Canada, and it's going to sound weird, it's the fact that we have 4 seasons. And I know it's going to sound weird. Do you know why I say that? Because summer is so great in Canada. But then the season where the tree lost their leaf and it becomes dirty, it's like not really winter, but like after winter, when like everything is slushy and dirty in the street, because it's not cold enough for the snow to like be super high, but it's not cold enough for the snow to be solid. So it's like a mixture of solid and liquid, and you walk and it's dirt everywhere, being like between -5, -10, and +5 temperature. It becomes slushy, it becomes dirty, and that's the worst. And then the car they drive, and if they drive just a little too fast, they splash you that walk on the sidewalk, and you're covered in dirt water for the rest of your walk. And I was walking to school growing up, and you need to be careful. The car will splash you in the water, and then you arrive to school extremely dirty. So having the 4 seasons in Canada, because they're so different, to me, I don't know. I prefer having constant temperature like we have in Thailand. That's just my opinion. So tell me, what is it about Sweden that you like the most and less? Yes.